What secret did Giorgio Armani hide behind his steel gray eyes? What does a man who has everything fear most? For Giorgio Armani, it wasn't a stock market crash or a bad review. He called one event the greatest failure of my career. This failure wasn't about fabric or finance. It was about a heartbeat that stopped next to his. For 60 years, Armani built an empire on silence, yet two great loves lived behind his steel gray eyes, one who built the kingdom with him, and one who helped him survive its loss. So, who were the ghosts hidden inside the world's most famous? Blazer to the world, he was Milan's monk, a man married to his work. Cameras caught the navy tees and the walnut skin, but never a partner. Investors loved the narrative. No heirs, no scandals. But in 2000, a crack appeared in the armor. In a throwaway line to a reporter, Armani admitted, "I've had women, and sometimes men." The quote was a phantom, vanishing under runway reviews. But it was a clue, one that hinted at a first secret love he had at a summer camp, an experience he later called a very emotional memory. The master of minimalism was living a life that was anything but simple. The first ghost has a name, Sergio Galeotti. It's 1966 in Forte dei Marmi, a seaside resort. Armani, 32, is a designer finding his way. Galeotti, an architect 11 years his junior, has a blueprint for the world in his eyes. Armani later said, "Love is too reductive a term for what they had," calling it a great complicity. A promise was sealed: quit the day job, start a studio, make jackets that feel like skin. It began not with contracts, but with a shared belief and a bond neither man would publicly define for nearly 2 decades. They started by selling Armani's Volkswagen Beetle to fund their dream. Sergio, the architect, built the business. Armani, the artist, cut the cloth. Dreams were fat, but cash was thin. Giorgio sketched the first deconstructed blazer. No padding, no lining, with shoulders that drooped like a sleepy lover. Sergio sold it, and their vision took hold. Orders doubled, then tripled. By 1975, the label read Armani, co-founded on whispered promises and a fierce, shared ambition. 280. Richard Gere slides into an Armani suit, and America falls in love. The brand is suddenly swimming in a $100 million tide. Sergio became the engine, signing licensing deals at 3 a.m. in Tokyo hotel bars. 2 Ferraris appeared outside their Milan office. Yet in every photograph, Sergio steps just out of frame. They built an empire side by side, but in public, they stood apart. In private, Armani would later admit, "Whatever I did in work was done for Sergio, and Sergio did everything for me." 1983. As the empire soared, the engine began to fail, a sudden weight loss. Doctors offered a vague diagnosis. It was a shield against the real name, carving a path of terror through the decade. AIDS. Armani canceled runway shows, flew Sergio to Swiss clinics, and slept on corridor floors. He tried to shield Sergio from the truth, but the silence was deafening. Armani recalled, "In a whole year, he said once, 'Giorgio, look how thin I have become.' That's all." In August 1985, at age 40, Sergio's heart stopped. The official cause of death was listed as a heart attack, a half-true armor against the jackals of the press. This was the greatest failure Armani spoke of. Not a business glitch, a human one. He had built a kingdom but couldn't save its co-king. Reflecting on that time, he said, "When Sergio died, a part of me died with him. I'm still amazed that I found within myself the resilience to withstand such immense pain." Friends swore he aged a decade in that 1 hour. From that day forward, Sergio's photo was sealed inside the breast pocket of every jacket he wore, a secret lining against the world. Years later, Armani finally found a way to express what he could never say out loud. He released 2 fragrances, Because It's You and Stronger With You. Their bottle caps were designed with 2 interlocking rings, a subtle symbol of 2 hearts bound together. For most people, it was just clever design. But for those who knew his story, it felt like a tribute, a quiet memorial to the love that started it all, hidden in plain sight on department store shelves. After Sergio's death, Armani threw himself into work. Board members urged him to sell the company, fearing he couldn't manage the empire alone. Instead, Armani doubled down. He bought back shares with his own money, worked 19-hour days, and became both the artist and the businessman. In his grief, it was as if he became 2 people at once. Looking back, Armani admitted his deepest regret. "I spent too many hours working, and not enough time with friends and family." Staff would hear him arguing in his office in 2 distinct voices, the calm Giorgio and the urgent Sergio, as if his partner still sat across the desk. Sales soared, but he never again let anyone else hold the pen. Control became his creed. Then, a new presence entered his life. His name was Leo Dell'Orco, who joined the company in 1977. Armani later said, "After Sergio's death, he has been the closest person to me. He gave me an incredible psychological support." Dell'Orco would eventually become head of the men's style office, a quiet but constant presence who understood the empire and the man who built it. For over 4 decades, Leo Dell'Orco became Armani's orbit. He was the only one who could enter the designer's office without knocking. Vacations were officially separate, yet paparazzi caught glimpses of a shared life. Armani never used a public label for their bond, but he began wearing a diamond ring on his left hand, a gift from Leo. It was a rare public mark of what Armani called a deep affection for the man he described as the person closest to me. He worked into his 90s, with Leo still by his side. In a rare interview, when asked if he was in love, Armani was heartbreakingly honest, confessing he felt a bit indifferent to the idea. "It's pointless to be in love and give little space to your love, because I don't have the space," he said. This all while the living answer to a different kind of lifelong bond, Leo, remained the person he was closest to. As he planned for the end, his succession plan answered all the business questions. In his final interviews, he confirmed a gradual transition of his responsibilities to those closest to him: Leo Dell'Orco, the members of my family, and the entire working team. The man who helped him survive the darkness would now be entrusted to carry the legacy forward, closing the circle without a single syllable. So why the secrecy? Why hide the two loves that defined him? The answer wasn't shame, it was armor. He built his empire when a plague was weaponized by gossip, when buyers might flee if a designer's own life seemed too complicated. Silence was the price of survival. But inside that armor, two loves bloomed. One ignited an empire, the other saw its founder through the darkness into old age. The label says Armani, but the story stitched inside is of Giorgio, Sergio, and Leo, a love story too grand to be contained by any headline.